Hello everyone, here's a summary and my thoughts about yesterday's Star Citizen Live Master Modes.
And this year, we announced Master Modes, which was a pretty dramatic change to the way that our single seat ships, our dogfighters, whatnot, are going to handle in the verse. It's currently in testing right now under the Squadron 42 branch. Without rehashing the entire presentation, for folks who maybe haven't seen it, what is Master Modes?
Pause. Jared, there was nothing shown so far, just some very vague description and spoiler. CRG doesn't even show a video here either how master modes are supposed to work.
So master modes is basically our way of fixing the combat in the game. What's the fundamental problem with the kind of combat and the ship geometry that we have in the game right now? And the common denominator was speed.
Pause. I don't think that speed is a problem because most of the spaceships we have in the game 900 years into our future are slower than SR-71 in atmosphere. And before 3.0 we had SCM speeds and afterburner. In afterburner mode you couldn't turn much, I mean very slightly. So people were in SCM mode whenever they wanted to fight. Still, they were just jousting, even though speeds in SCM mode were rather slow.
We just didn't want to do like an overall arching kind of cap, because there's still so many things you do in Star Citizen beyond combat. You spend a lot of time traveling from A to B, and the distances we have in the game are crazy. We travel millions of kilometers all the time in the game.
I do want to clarify, when you say speed, you're saying high speed.
Yes, high speed.
Too much speed.
Yes.
Because I think from a layman's perspective, from an outsider's perspective, for those of us who watch racing and watch combat movies like Top Gun and everything, more speed seems to be a good thing. It seems to be the thing that makes stuff exciting, makes stuff visceral. Everybody likes bobbing and weaving through canyons as fast as possible. But you're saying too much speed actually hurts the combat experience.
Yes, yeah. So if you're traveling very quickly, the distances you cover in that amount of time become really large. So if you're having a dogfight with someone and you're flying at 1,000 meters per second, within a very short amount of time, you could be 3 or 4 kilometers away from your target if you've turned around, and then you're flying back toward each other, and then you basically repeat the action and you just end up firing at the nose of your opponent. And that's not really fun.
Pause. Again, no one was dogfighting in afterburner mode before 3.0 because you could turn only very slightly. People were dogfighting in SCM speeds. So I don't get how reducing the speeds will fix the problem. I think the main problem is World War II in space just doesn't work. Space combat is very different from combat in atmosphere in airplanes. And reducing the speeds, we had this before, people were still jousting. So I don't think this will work.
So the goal for this was to bring the combat closer and to make it much more about kind of outmaneuvering your opponent. So if you can get the edge on your opponent and you're trying to do this and that, move around each other, there's going to be key moments in this where you get an advantage and you can use the distinct weapons you've chosen, your special loadout you've chosen, and those things will be an advantage, but also be disadvantages too. But we want it to be about those moments where you really engage in combat and it becomes about outmaneuvering your opponent rather than this kind of slingshot, kind of nose-on-nose combat we've kind of been used to.
Pause. Actually, this is in the game since forever, outmaneuvering your opponent and choosing the right weapons and components. Actually, it was you, CIG, who leveled the playing field in 3.14 by giving us very generic component and weapon stats. How about giving us meaningful values back? If you would go back to 2.5, ship combat and component-wise, this game would be 10 times better. It was not perfect in 2.5, but it was really fun. And you could really see the differences in skills.
Yogi, why don't you tell us what the two operational states are? What are the two master modes?
So the one state is basically your combat mode. We're still talking about whether it's should be like standard control mode or actual just combat mode. This is the mode in which you do the majority of your gameplay in. Like you're gonna do all the combat stuff. You're probably gonna do mining in that as well. And the other mode, which you swap your ship into, it was called QCM in our presentation recently. We're just gonna call it NAV mode because it's more descriptive. name for it. And this one allows you to use your quantum mode, and it allows you to unlock the high velocities, but it makes your ship very, very vulnerable in terms of like there won't be shields or weapons.
I'm not going to say it solved everything, but it solved the majority of issues without really causing another problem, which was the kind of loop we got into before with changing the way the shields work and the weapons and stuff. We just, we were always creating another problem with what we were trying to solve, and that's something we really, we definitely think we've avoided with, the master modes.
Pause. Two things I would like to mention. Reducing speeds to SCM when you are in combat was what we had before 3.0. No one was doing combat in afterburner mode because you couldn't turn your ship, very, very slightly. Second, once again, this feels like two people who want to make a game and they are just starting throwing out ideas. This doesn't give me any vibes of a $500 million project in year 10. This doesn't look like CIG knows what they want, doesn't look like they have any clear plans. The only goal is, let's make space combat fun. But I don't think reducing speeds to SCM will fix this, and we had this before, people were still jousting.
The switch between the modes themselves, because it can't be too easy. If you switch back and forth on a dime, there's no reason to have the two. Part of what makes the two dynamic is this transition between them. So let's talk about that transition. How long are we talking? Is the length of time dependent on different ships or different ship types? And is the length of time something that can be one day adjusted through the use of components and tuning and stuff? What are we thinking here?
So there is a time difference. It is ship based, but it can also be component based as well, because you've got the shields going up and down. Because we didn't want you'd be able to press a button, doom, gone, and you're just in different modes. Because we want the player to make that key choice when they're in when they're in the master mode for combat, for example. We want them to be in that combat mode because they want to do that thing that they've chosen to do. But there's consequences to that, and it's the same with flying navigation mode without the shields. There's a choice to that you can go fast and you're just doing your A to B stuff as citizens and you don't want to get involved in combat.
Pause. I don't know why CIG has to make this again very complicated. Why can't I just switch between modes? I still have to wait for my shields when I go from nav mode to combat mode, and when I go from combat mode to nav mode, I still have to wait for my ship to accelerate.
If you're in nav mode and you're traveling at the fastest speed possible and then you suddenly switch over?
So you slow down very aggressively and your face almost comes off.
Pause. Again, why not some very basic physics? Why not let us slow down rather slowly? You still don't have your guns, you still don't have your shields, so you have to wait until you are combat ready, instead of giving us several dozens of Gs.
No, I can already see the response to what you just said is, well, then put it into the PU and let us see it, and let us experiment. But it's going to stay in Squadron 42 for a while, so it can do all the internal testing, so that it can be very focused. We talked about it in the DCC thing, so you can focus on these specific ships and get these done before you have to expand it to all of the ships of the PU.
Pause. Master modes will stay in Squadron 42 for a while. I guess at least 2 years, so don't expect anything in the universe soon.
To release in the PU, it's a massive feature for us because it changes almost every single component in the game. It changes every single ship in the game. In terms of S42 now, it's in there. You can change all the speeds, but that's on a very limited amount of ships and on a very limited amount of components right now.
Pause. Usual reminder, Squadron 42 was supposed to get released 2014, then CIG changed it to 2015, and in 2016 they made this video, and now it's at least 2 years away, and I don't think we'll see it in 2 years. How is this possible? This was Master Modes, 30 minutes, without giving any specifics, without showing us even a short video, and without answering many questions. And once again, this feels like two people who want to make a game and are just starting, and not like a big company in year 10 that has clear goals, clear ideas, and know what they are doing. Let me know what you think in the comments below and see you next time. Bye. Auf Wiedersehen. Hey, you're still here. You might want to join me on Twitter. My Twitter account is Camural_SC.